Hello and welcome back to eCBSE online classes. Today we are going to start a new module, Statistics in Mathematics, and the specific topic is Introduction to Statistics, and this is part A1 of the video series. Now before we get into the details of statistics, let us try to understand why do we need the knowledge of statistics. In every day we come across a lot of information, correct? You look at a lot of cricket statistics and healthcare management and politics, finance, economics, industries, and many things, correct? So they may be in the form of facts, tables, numericals, or graphs. So why do we need all this data? What do we want to do with it? We want to extract some meaningful information, correct? So the field of statistics will help us derive that meaningful information out of the enormous amount of data that we come across in a day-to-day life. The word statistics come from a word called status. It's a Greek word. It means state. And we deal with data. Data is actually a plural word and the singular form of data is datum. What do we do in statistics? We collect, present the data, interpret and inference. Correct? Let's try to understand each of these steps. First step is collection of data, correct? Let's take a simple example, like you want to collect the data of heights of students in your class. So how do you do that? Either you measure them yourself, or if there is already a logbook of student heights available with your teacher, you may refer to that log. So when you are measuring it yourself as a data collector, that is called primary data collection. And if you are taking it from some other source, that is called secondary, correct? Data collection can be primary or secondary. The next step in understanding the data is to try to represent. So when you present the data, you may present it in the form of facts, figures, or graphs or numerical tables, correct? And next step is try to interpret. So if I ask you what is the average height in your class, or what is the maximum height, etc., etc. So that's called interpretation. Next is inference. So for example, if we look at the cricket statistics, you may infer that Kohli's average is higher than Tendulkar's, or let's say vaccine A is working better than vaccine B, or some medicine A is working say 30% better than medicine B. These kind of inferences you can take so that you can take some practical and meaningful decisions out of that data analysis. Now let's look at some examples here. Let us take heights of students, a simple example. So I'm taking some random names and some random heights here. So these are some bunch of numbers. And if I ask you a question like what is the tallest of these people or what is the shortest, you may take a little time to answer this because the data is not sorted, because this is a raw data. And when you try to sort this data, and here I'm taking ascending order, smallest to largest. This is called a sorted data. The same questions can be answered very easily. The shortest here is 152 centimeters height and the tallest is 174, correct? The sorted data is making it easy for you to identify minimum and maximum. So the difference between the maximum and minimum is called range of the data, and basically sorting is helping you identify minimum and maximum, correct? However, if your data size is really big, sorting becomes really complicated. So sorting becomes complicated as the data grows big. So what would you do in such situations? We have to represent or analyze the data slightly differently. So let's take one such small example here. I'm taking marks obtained by 30 students. The maximum marks is 100. So here the table is marks out of 100 marks. So there are 30 numbers. Now let me try to make a table here like this. The first column is marks and the second column is number of students who got that marks, a score. So this column I'm calling it as frequency. So frequency is a term in the statistics that we very frequently use. Now what is the minimum number here? 10, correct? How many people got it? Just 1. And next minimum is 20. We have 120, so frequency is 1. Next is 36. There are 3 people who got 36, so frequency is 3. Next is 40. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there are 4 people, so frequency is 4. Next is 50. 1, 2, 3. There are 3 people, so frequency is 3. Next is 56, 1, 2. So there are 2 people. Next is 60, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So for 60 it is frequency is 4. For 70 again 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 people. For 72 1. So there is only one person. 80 1. 88 there are 2. 92 there are 3 people. And only one number is remaining, that is 95, which is the highest score also here. That is just 1. So one quick way to check whether you did this frequency table correct or not is by summing up the column number 2. So here we have started with 30 data points. So the second column sum should be exactly equal to 30. Okay, so here my total is matching here. So I did the analysis correct. So what are these kind of tables called? These are called frequency distribution tables, and in specific this is ungrouped frequency distribution table because we haven't grouped, we have directly used the raw data as the classification. Correct. So can you answer some quick questions here? What is the highest score of this class? It's very easy, right? You see the highest marks 95, and what is the score obtained by most number of people? That's my next question. So how do you answer such question? You need to look at column number 2. So what is the maximum number in column number 2? That is 4. But 4 is appearing almost 3 times. So 4 is appearing for 40, 60 and 70. So 40, 60 and 70 is the marks obtained by most number of students. Now what will you do if the data is even more? How to handle that? So here I am just doing a 30 students data. What if you have more number of students, or what if you have to do such analysis for university students where thousands of people are there? So let's start with a next slightly bigger example. I'm taking, instead of 30, I'm taking 100 students here. So I have a raw data numbers here. So let me try to do similar analysis but slightly different. So here my table looks like this. If you notice the first column here, that is marks, but instead of single value, here I am grouping them into certain groups, correct? 0 to 9, 10 to 19, 20 to 29 and so on. So let me try to find out the number of students in each of these groups. So 0 to 9 there is no one, the frequency is 0. 10 to 19 again there is no one, the frequency is 0. 20 to 29, let us count 1, 2, 3, 4, 3 people. Next is 30 to 39, let us count again 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 people are in 30 to 39 class. Next is 40 to 49, let's count again 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 people. 50 to 59, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 8 people. 60 to 69, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 18 people. How about 70 to 79? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10 people. 80 to 89, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. 23 people. So all remaining numbers are 90 to 99. Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 12 people. So before you complete the data analysis, a quick check. Don't forget that to sum the column number 2, the summation should equal to 100. So here my summation is 100. So I did the analysis correctly. So what is this type of table called? This is called grouped frequency distribution table. So what did I do differently here compared to the one in the previous example? I have condensed the data into groups, and these groups are called either class intervals or simply classes. Please remember this. What is the size of this group called? Class size or class width. Okay, and in each class interval, the least number in a class is called the lowest class limit. For an example, the class of 50 to 59, the lower class limit is 50. Similarly, the greatest number in a class is called upper class limit, and for the class of 50 to 59, the upper class limit is 59. So what is the advantage of these frequency distribution tables? It is giving you some important features of the data at a quick glance, correct? For example, you can say that most number of students are in the class of 80 to 89. Similarly, you can also say that there is no one who got less than 20 marks. You can also say that very few people got below 30, correct? Only 3 people. So this is how you can make frequency distribution tables, especially grouped frequency distribution tables. Are there any rules for making or condensing the data into groups? There is only one rule that you need to follow. You need to make sure that no two classes are overlapping. You can see that 10 to 19 and 20 to 29, there is no overlap, correct? So I have followed that rule. Here I have used about group size of 9. You can make 5, 4, or based on the data numbers that you are looking at, you can make whatever class size you want to make. Only rule is the classes should not overlap. Please remember that. Now, next, let's ask a question. What if there are decimal points, correct? In the data we have dealt so far, there is only integers. So how to deal with decimal points? Let us try to understand how do you make classes for such things. So let me take one class that is 10 to 19 and take the upper class limit of that. So here that is 19, and take a next class and take the lower class limit of that. So what I'm doing is taking an upper class limit of one of the class and taking the lower class limit of the next big class. So here those numbers are 19 and 20. Take the difference. The difference is 1. And what is the half difference of that? That is 0.5. Now to make the new class, what you need to do is extend the limits by 0.5 on each side. So basically you'll reduce the lower limit by half and increase the upper limit by half. So let's take an example here. The class size 10 to 19 is converted to 9.5 to 19.5. So if you observe carefully, 10 to 19 has a range of 9, whereas 9.5 to 19.5 has a range of 10. So the range is increased exactly by the difference that you have calculated above. Correct? Similarly, the class 20 to 29 is converted into 19.5 to 29.5. Correct? See, the new table will look something like this. Now, some of you must have already noted, like each class upper limit is exactly matching the lower limit of the next higher class. As an example, 9.5 to 19.5 and 19.5 to 29.5 both have 19.5 included in it, correct? So if you encounter a data which is exactly 19.5, where will you count that? Will you count that in 9.5 to 19.5 or 19.5 to 29.5? So, and you can't count on both the groups, correct? So by convention, you need to count that in the class of 19.5 to 29.5. Okay. So far in this video, we have learned the importance of statistics, and we have looked at some pointers related to collecting and presenting of the data in the form of tables. We have also looked at the nitty-gritties of frequency distribution tables and looked at grouped and ungrouped, and we have looked at how to handle decimal pointed data and what is the convention of counting a data point which is exactly on the border of two classes. Okay, in the next class we are going to cover graphical representation of data. Stay tuned. I hope you like this video. Please like, share, comment and subscribe to our channel eCBSE Online Classes. Thank you for watching.